Hello, this is Mark Wildman of Wildman Athletica, and today we are going to talk about a version of the gun getup, a small breakout piece, the press, step back press. Gun getups are a classification of getup, kind of separate but in the same category as fight getups, that use two hands on something, so you're not going to use your hands to get up off the ground like you would do with a kettlebell Turkish getup. Gun getups specifically denote a position of the upper body where we have two arms extended out in front like you would have two hands on a pistol. And then we are going to modify our posture to be generally specific to modern firearms training. It is not going to be exact. We are not replicating the movements of modern firearm training exactly. We are seeking to replicate the structure of it so that we can improve our structure so that we can move better. We are going to use a mace for this activity. You can use either a mace or a heavy club. Usually a heavy club is used first because the lever is shorter. It is easier for people to achieve the correct position, and then they can move to mace as a different training cycle. Different length of the lever yields different overall effect on the body. It just changes it very slightly. Let's start with a front press. Squeeze your glutes, point your feet straight ahead, pull your kneecaps up, press out. Lock two elbows out, try to rotate your elbow pits towards the sky, pull the weight all the way in. When we are doing our press, the goal is to drive our elbow pits towards the sky, which is not specifically perfectly accurate to modern firearms training, and we want to drive our shoulders down and squeeze our lat. That can change with modern firearms training depending on what style you are doing. Some people might have shoulders up, elbows out, depending on how you're receiving the recoil from the weapon. But when we are doing this with heavy clubs, we have to modify this structure to make our core stronger, because the weight between a mace and a firearm is very different. Think 2 pounds versus 15 pounds. 2 feet point straight ahead, press out in front, roll your elbow pits towards the sky, drive your rib cage down. Supporting with your glutes and your abs is the most important part of this activity. 2 hands on the mace, squeeze the glutes, scoop the abs, pull the belly button towards the spine, press all the way out, lock out the triceps, hand at the level of your nose, pull the weight in, step back, put your knee on the ground, create a stable position, press all the way out, hands at the level of your nose, lean forward very slightly, round your back into the shape of a slight C. Pull the weight in, stand all the way up, press, pull in, step back with the opposite leg, put your knee all the way down on the ground, press, stand up, press, step back, knee on the ground, press, stand up. A front press is different from a bench press or a push-up because the orientation of our spine is different. The orientation of our spine is what it is in the real world. So when you press a big weight out in front, the muscles of your back have to contract in order to keep you from being rocked forward. When we are putting these into this category of gun getup or gun press, we want to have that top hand equal with the bottom of the nose generally. We don't want it to be down low because obviously if it was replicating the general movement patterns of modern firearms training, you wouldn't be able to see the sights. If the hands are too high, you also wouldn't be able to see the sights on a firearm. So think top hand level with the bottom of the nose. Use your glutes to contract the small muscles of your spine in both the top and the bottom position. Point the feet straight ahead so that when we do this first press, we fire that lat, we wrap the lat down around into the abs, squeeze the glutes to support the entire body nice and strong, pull the weight in for now on this version of the exercise, step back. You're thinking the same thing with your hip. If we have a duck butt or our lower back is arched, this will not work. Tuck the tailbone underneath, hollow out, drive the hip forward to lengthen the front of the hip. Do our press again. Hand is still at the level of our nose. Try to roll those elbow pits up slightly, enough to fire the lat so that the lat can wrap around and connect to our core. This is really a core training exercise. Ancillarily, it is a arm and chest exercise, but the arm and chest exercise is less important than having your core in the correct position. If you try to do these presses with an arched back, or you try to stand up and move with an arched back, you're gonna find that it does not work very well, and you're gonna end up hurting yourself pretty quickly. This exercise is used with lighter weight. You're not gonna be doing this with probably 50 pounds, although you could if you built up to it over the course of several years. Think about starting with a light club, 10 to 15 pounds, practicing that press, locking out that elbow, squeezing that tricep, driving the shoulder down and firing the lat. And then with the mace, you're going to use probably 1 unit of weight lower. So if you were using a 15-pound club, you would use a 10-pound mace. You can train gun get-ups from 2 directions. You can train them from the top down, as this exercise is, or you can train them from the bottom up. We will eventually train both versions of this activity, but we're gonna walk through it one step at a time. The most important thing to remember is that a gun get-up of any type denotes the upper body position of double elbow lockout, 2 hands on, hand at the level of your nose, and your core needs to be in the correct position. This is a core training activity much more than it is arms, biceps, or shoulders.